the Egyptian Empire, Babylon, Assyria, the greatest powers the ancient world ever produced. Right? Their pyramids still stand, their artifacts fill museums, but their gods forgotten, their languages dead, their traditions, archaeological footnotes. Yet a group from a territory you could drive across in an hour shape half the world's beliefs today. 3,000 years ago, the ancient Near East was dominated by empires of staggering power and sophistication. Egypt had ruled for millennia. Assyria fielded armies that terrorized entire regions. Babylon built wonders of engineering. The Hittites controlled vast territories. These civilizations lasted centuries, some over 2,000 years. They built monuments, developed writing systems, created complex bureaucracies. By every measure of power, they dominated their world. And then there was Canaan, a sliver of land wedged between these giants, strategically located, constantly invaded, never powerful. The Israelite kingdoms that emerged there lasted barely 4 centuries as independent states. A blip on the historical radar. Here's the puzzle. The empires vanished. The tiny kingdom's idea conquered the world. Look at the geography. Egypt dominates the southwest, the Nile's agricultural wealth supporting millions. Mesopotamia sprawls across the east, the cradle of civilization itself. Assyria controls the north, its war machine legendary. Right? Babylon commands the Fertile Crescent's heart, and Canaan, roughly the size of Rhode Island, positioned directly on the invasion route between Africa and Asia. Right? Every major power marched through it. Right? The Israelites weren't players in ancient geopolitics. They were the board other empires played on. This matters because survival in the ancient world required power, right? Military strength, strategic depth, resources. The Israelites had none of these advantages. Around 1000 BCE, the Israelites briefly united under kings like David and Solomon. This unity lasted roughly 80 years. Then the kingdom split. The northern kingdom kept the name Israel, 10 tribes, more territory, greater resources. The southern kingdom, Judah, held just 2 tribes and the city of Jerusalem. In 722 BCE, Assyria conquered the northern kingdom. The 10 tribes were scattered, resettled, absorbed into the empire's population. Right? They followed the normal pattern. Today we call them the lost tribes because that's exactly what happened. They disappeared from history. This was the expected outcome. Conquered peoples vanished every time. Why did conquered peoples disappear? Right? The ancient world operated on a specific logic. Military defeat meant your god lost. Gods were tied to peoples and the places. If your city fell, your god proved weaker than the conqueror's god. Right? The rational response: adopt the winner's religion, intermarry with the dominant population. Within a few generations, your distinct identity dissolved. This happened to the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Hittites, the Phoenicians, the Canaanites themselves. Powerful civilizations, sophisticated cultures, all absorbed into successor populations, their gods forgotten, their languages dead, their identities erased. The 10 northern tribes follow this exact pattern, nothing unusual. In 586 BCE, Babylon conquered Judah, Jerusalem fell, the temple, the center of Israelite worship, was destroyed. The population was exiled to Babylon. By every historical precedent, this should have ended the story. The southern kingdom should have followed the northern kingdom into oblivion. Right? 2 tribes, no homeland, no temple, surrounded by Babylonian culture. Right? Instead, something unprecedented happened. They survived, not just physically, culturally, religiously, as a distinct people. They maintained their identity through exile. Eventually, some returned. Their descendants exist today. This breaks the pattern. This demands explanation. What did the southern kingdom have that the northern kingdom lacked? And the answer lies in a revolutionary idea about the nature of God. In ancient polytheism, gods were immanent. They existed within nature. Right? The sky god wasn't separate from the sky. The sky god was the sky. The river god was the river. The storm god was the storm. Divine power was embedded in natural phenomena. This meant gods were local. They had jurisdictions, and critically, they could be defeated. The Israelite innovation, developed over centuries, never universal among all Israelites, was transcendence. Their God existed outside and above nature, not identical with the sky, but creator of the sky, not bound to a location, but present everywhere, not one power among many, but the power behind everything. This seems abstract. It wasn't. It had immediate survival consequences. When Jerusalem fell in 586 BCE, two interpretations were possible. Under polytheistic logic, Babylon's God defeated Judah's God. Right? The rational response is abandoning the losing God and adopting Babylonian religion. Right? Assimilation follows naturally. Right? Under transcendent monotheism, God wasn't defeated because God can't be defeated. God exists above all nations, all empires, all events. The exile isn't evidence of divine weakness. It's part of a larger divine purpose. Perhaps punishment for unfaithfulness, perhaps a test, perhaps preparation for something greater. This framework transformed catastrophe into meaning. It provided a reason to maintain identity precisely when identity seemed pointless. Right? Here's the counterintuitive insight. Right? Military power didn't ensure survival. Right? Ideas did. Right? The Assyrian Empire fielded the ancient world's most fearsome army. Right? Gone. Right? Babylon built architectural wonders and conquered vast territories. Gone. Egypt's power spanned 3 millennia. Their religious traditions, extinct. The Israelites had no significant military, no strategic depth, no imperial resources. They were conquered repeatedly. Yet their theological framework, the idea of a transcendent God, provided something armies couldn't, a reason to persist through defeat. The 10 northern tribes had more people, more land, more resources than the southern kingdom. They disappeared. The 2 southern tribes, with their revolutionary ideas, survived. Right? That idea didn't stay in antiquity. It became the foundation of Judaism, the direct continuation of ancient Israelite religion. Christianity emerged from Judaism, carrying the same transcendent monotheism to the Roman world and beyond. Islam, arising 6 centuries later, built on the same theological foundation. Right? Today, over 4 billion people, more than half of humanity, follow religions rooted in this ancient Israelite innovation. Right? The God of Abraham, understood as transcendent and singular, shapes the worldview of billions across every continent. The empires that conquered ancient Israel are museum exhibits. Their gods require archaeological reconstruction. But the idea that emerged from that tiny, powerless kingdom, it reshaped human civilization. Right? Political power proved temporary. The right idea proved permanent. What can we take from this? Right? First, significance and power aren't the same thing. Right? The ancient world's most powerful civilizations left monuments. The politically insignificant Israelites left an idea that billions still live by. Right? Second, ideas have survival value. When everything else is stripped away, land, temple, political independence, a compelling framework for understanding reality can sustain a people through catastrophe. Right? Third, transcendence matters. Right? The specific innovation wasn't just one God instead of many. It was a God outside the system, one whose purposes couldn't be defeated by any earthly event. That theological move transformed how humans could relate to suffering and loss. The great empires built for eternity, their ruins. A tiny kingdom produced an idea. It's still spreading. Right? What ideas today might outlast our current institutions? Summary statistics. Total duration, 730. Frame count, 11. Frame 0 plus 10 content frames. Total word count, 125 words. Average pace, 2.5 words second. All 7 conceptual diagrams referenced. Teaching flow, hook, F01. Build, F24. Deepen, F58. Apply, F910.